Hello, this is William White with a public service announcement about abuse of prescription drugs. Um, Prescription drugs might not come to your mind when you think of drug abuse, but in fact it's getting quite common here in the States. A definition of prescription and over-the-counter drug abuse would be using legal drugs in an illegal way, or a way that they weren't meant to be used. Um, you might not think this is very common, but if you look at this chart, which I hope you can see, it's actually very common among high school seniors with drugs such as Vicodin and Adderall and many other different types. So it's definitely not just illegal drugs that are being used by today's youth. In fact, they're the most abused kind of drug after alcohol and marijuana. To the extent that 21 million people over the age of 12 have admitted to using some sort of legal drug illegally. Another interesting fact that you might not know is that most teens get these drugs from friends or relatives for free, indicating that they don't really think there are any consequences to their use. Well, unfortunately there are. It also might be a factor that if you look at this chart, prescription drugs and over-the-counter drugs tend to be extremely cheap, much more so than other illegal kinds. So this might be, another factor in their use. Let's take a look at an example of a fairly commonly abused, perfectly legal drug. Cough medicine. Cough medicine contains a chemical called DXM, which causes both depressant and hallucinogenic effects when taken in excess. You might not think that, cough medicine, do people really use that to get high? Well, apparently, because 1 in 16 seniors uses it just for that purpose. Another very commonly used drug, which you may have heard of that's being abused, is Adderall. Adderall comes in pills that would look like this, and is often sold and is used, by people with attention deficit disorder, or ADD or ADHD. It allows them to focus. Well, many of these students who don't like taking the drugs themselves will sell them to their friends so that they in turn get better focus if they're taking some large exam or need to study. So yeah, that's another very common one. Abusive diet pills is also heard of. And particularly dangerously, abusive diet pills can lead to eating disorders. One thing to keep in mind with prescription drug abuse is that even though the drug itself is legal, it can still be very dangerous. Even with drugs such as Vicodin and other stronger legal drugs, especially prescription ones, can lead in fact to dependence, just like heroin or cocaine or anything else. So the main message that you should consider is that any type of over-the-counter medication, no matter how common it is, can have adverse side effects if abused, and should not be used in any way that they were not supposed to, or if you don't have a prescription. Thank you very much.